Locking it in. All right. Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming Wednesday live stream. Yeah, every Wednesday around 11 a.m. we get together and talk about modeling, what's going on in the Wargaming world. We talk about building terrain and painting models and stuff like that. And today I am working on one of my commissions. I've got a British Commando commission here that I am finalizing by, well, I only have a couple more steps. One of them is decals. That's what I'm doing right now. And then another one will be the wash, because I haven't put a wash on these guys yet. And then basing, doing the texture bases and stuff like that. So I anticipate having these guys finished by this evening and letting James know that they're done and that he can expect them soon. And these commandos, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see them. These commandos right here have shoulder patches on both their right and left arm, and you can see how small they are. They're about the size of a pinhead. No, they're probably 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters across. And just looking at the decal, the left and the right arm decals, I don't really see any difference. But then again, I don't have a magnifying glass where I'm looking down on this thing. There might be actually a different patch for both the left and right side of the uniform. And Warlord has tried to make that in 28 millimeter. But at this scale, it basically just looks like a black circle with a red dot in the middle. And the tab that goes above the patch just looks like a black strip. I'm sure that in the real world it would say Commando. I think it would say Commando. So, because like the 101st and 82nd, they have tabs over their shoulders that also say Airborne, you know, but at this scale you couldn't, there's no way you could read it. Getting these decals to slide off is a little tricky. Now I'm just doing the right arms right now so I don't get confused. Okay. What I need is like a clip, something that I can, something weighted down that has an arm that's flexible with a clip on it, and then I could clip the miniature and have it face in any direction for applying these decals, because every one of these arms is facing in a different direction. Okay, so this is going to be a little tedious I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this on stream or do it right after the stream because, whoa, that guy just slid down his arm. He's down to his elbow. Get back up there. It's got to be right here. Okay. Whoa, there goes my paper towel. All right, so I tried doing 4 at a time, and then 6 at a time, and this one right here, this last one I'm doing right here, had 9 decals on it. And it looks like 9 is working out okay. You can take a few seconds and count all the commandos that are on the table. There's over 100. I think it's close to 117. I think I counted it a while back, and I haven't counted it since because I didn't want to demoralize myself. I don't really like painting more than about 75 miniatures at a time. When you start getting in the hundreds, it takes all day just to put like one color on. And I look at it and I say, man, that's going to take me all day just to do this one thing. And it wears on me. Just got to muscle through it. I told him 2 weeks ago, I said, it'll take about a week to finish those guys. And that was 2 weeks ago. So I greatly overestimated or underestimated the amount of time it was going to take me to paint all these guys. What was I going to say about the 100? Yeah, okay, so there's over 100. We'll just call it 100. But there's over 100 with one decal on each shoulder. That's 200 of these little decals I've got to do. Yikes. Okay, so let's put a little strip of 9, that's 3 across, 3 down, in my water. Let it soak. It takes about a minute to loosen it up to get it ready for application. So let's just let that soak for a minute while I discuss something else. My hydration. Black cherry vanilla. No, luckily he's provided me with 5 decal sheets, and each one of these decal sheets has, what is that, 6, 12, 24, 36, 42, has 42, so technically 3 sheets should do everything I need, but he sent me 5, probably because of the box sets that he bought. Each one came with a sheet. He probably has 5 box sets. That's good because I've already lost one to the floor monster, and these two decals stuck together and they didn't want to come apart. So I've already lost 3. I assume I'm going to lose probably another 6 to 10 just finishing these guys, but I'm just guessing. Okay, I wanted to give you guys a heads up on some orders that I've got placed, and my World War II project, my personal World War II project that I've got running. First things first is I sent an email to the guys over at Flames of War, right? The Battlefront miniatures. Because I put an order in on January 11th. I sent them it. Okay, that's too much water. I sent them an email on about February 1st or something like that. So because it had been like 3 weeks and I hadn't noticed any change of my order status on their website. It still said processing. So I was like, okay, why is it still processing? And they said they were waiting for a machine gun to come into stock, and then as soon as it came into stock, they would ship out my order. Okay. And I was like, all right, that sounds like a reasonable explanation. They said it was going to come out mid-February. So I was thinking, okay, my order is going to sit on their shelf for a month before they ship it. And I was like, okay, no worries. I can live with that. It's no big deal. My convention that I'm going to is not till August. So no sweat. But I'm not going to not want to get it at some point, right? So I was like, okay, I'll wait. And I waited and I waited and I waited. At the end of February, I'm talking February, no, I guess it was March 1st. Okay, this might be one of those decals. No, it's not. Okay, I got it. There we go. March 1st, my order status still hasn't changed. And I expected it to probably already be here. You know what I mean? And they said they hadn't received it in yet. Still waiting. Okay. Let's do this. I said, let's just go ahead and, in my mind, I was thinking, let's just go ahead and remove the machine guns and have them ship my order. But then in the back of my head, I said, well, I don't need half of that order anymore because I got the Plastic Soldier Company Germans in, so I don't need the German Grenadiers that I was ordering from Battlefront. So I said, just cancel the machine gun and the Grenadiers. And if you want, I said, if you want to do this, go ahead and include the remainder, which is American paratroopers. I said, if you want, include those with my next order, which I placed last night. And I got an order. I got an email back saying, what we've done is we've removed those Grenadiers and we've added your paratroopers to the current order. and we'll ship those out together. And then there was a but. But on your new order, there are a number of items, like 4 of them, that are out of stock, and we're not going to get them in till April. And then that's when we'll ship your order. So I sent a little passive-aggressive email back this morning that asked, didn't really demand or tell, or basically, hopefully my irritation comes across that email. It was very subtle. I know it was subtle. I didn't mean it to be aggressive. I meant it to be kind of like, you do understand I've been waiting since January 11th, right? That's the kind of email that it was. And I said in the email, okay, so are you telling me that it's one of 2 things? You're sending me my Americans today, and then when those other items come into stock, you'll send me those at that time. Or are you saying you're holding my Americans because I asked you to combine the shipment and I won't see it till April? So now I'm waiting for a response because I just sent that this morning. Okay, it sounds like they're having a very hard time keeping their inventory in stock, which I guess is good for them because that means they're selling. It's bad for me because I'm waiting, but they have this policy which is pretty cool. If you order over $120 of product, you get your shipping to the US for free. Both orders, if you added them all up, are close to $400, right? It was like $220 on one and $175 on the second one. And I plan to order more from them, but if I don't get my stuff till April, I probably will not order. I will not be in a hurry. Let's just rephrase that. I will not be in a hurry to order anything from them ever again. What I'll do at that point, I got a couple of these 4s remaining, so I'm going to put them in. I think I'm going to stick with 6 and not 9. 9 was just probably too many at one time. So I'll order through either Old Glory, Command Decision, because the price is the same, or Plastic Soldier Company, or any other 1/100 scale model company. I ordered some 1/100 models from a company called Internet Hobbies. They seemed like a drop shipment kind of shop, so I'm going to have to maybe wait a little bit longer on those, but luckily none of those models were necessary for this campaign. I mean, that could take a year and I don't really care. One of the only reasons why I ordered Battlefront 101st guys, not 101st, American Airborne, instead of the Plastic Soldier Company is Plastic Soldier Company was out of stock. To alleviate this problem, Battlefront should put something on their website saying out of stock. Man, I'm guzzling that. Okay. Okay, that's ready to go. And that would alleviate 90% of my anguish. I would look at the website. I would say, okay, these German machine guns are out of stock. I won't order them. Or if I do order them, I will know ahead of time that they're back ordered and I'm just waiting for them. Now their policy on their website is different than what they've practiced. Okay, it's kind of funny. I position the decal exactly where I want it, and then when I go to press it in with my paper towel, it slides down to the elbow. So I'm going to be a little bit more gentle on soaking the water from now on. Learning my lesson. I guess it's because these decals are so small. Now, Old Glory, but let's get back to the policy on their website. The policy on their website says if you place an order and there's an item that is out of stock, they will notify you and ask you if you want them to hold the order or ship it without the out of stock item. That seems like a very reasonable policy. That is not what they did. They immediately just held it. Looks like it's nice out.
It's supposed to get to 76 today.
Oh my goodness. Okay, just so you know, once I get all the decals on, eventually, I'm going to go back over it with some microsol to set the decals. It'll basically, what it'll do is it'll melt the decal to the arm, because right now with the decal sheet, it's just using the adhesive on the back of the decal to stick to the model, where the decal sol or solution actually melts it into the plastic. So it'll actually make it look like it was painted on, is what the, what does it say? What Mary was this? For a painted on look. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I've already gone through all the right arms on this sheet. We're going to continue on with more right arms. I'm trusting that yeah, what am I trying to say? I'm trusting that the image on the decal is accurate. I wonder what this is. I'm gonna have to go look that up because I don't know what that is. Because those are NCO stripes. Who knows? I don't know what that is. Okay. So I cut these down. And I'm cutting them across. That should give me a bunch of 6s. Okay, that one doesn't want to come across. Okay, so that's enough of my Battlefront fiasco. Okay, let's talk about something else. I want to talk about the Ukraine just for a second. I know you guys probably don't care about all that. And I'm going to tell you that I'm probably insensitive. That's a good word. I'm probably insensitive. I'm probably jaded or whatever. I've been wargaming the Russian attack on the Ukraine. It's all hypothetical. It's not, none of it is accurate, or I don't, and I thought about it. I said, okay, is it too soon to take a T-90 and take it up against some Ukrainian resistance fighters on a tabletop? It's probably bad taste. It's probably bad taste. Give them a Javelin missile launcher. Give them a Stinger. Give them some AK-47s. Put them up against some Russian armored division. And then I thought about it. And I was like, well, back in the year was it? Is it 90s maybe? Late 80s? 90s? Shit, I don't even remember when it was, but I did a Micro Armor game with the Iraqis and the U.S. before the actual hot war, right? And everybody had a good time. It was hypothetical, and then like within a year, it turned into reality. So, yeah, but I'm not really into modern. I'm not a modern fan of any, like, from Korean War I can do, because to me the Korean War is still World War II. You know, it's that conflict 47 kind of deal. It's not too high tech. But when you start getting dragons and tow missiles and tanks that can shoot on the run from 5 miles away and still hit you with their missiles and stuff like that, it's just not fun. That's one reason why in computer games I tend to avoid any modern conflict. World War II, I'm okay with. I dig World War II. Because to me, World War II is low enough technology to make decisions matter. Decisions have a higher weight than they do in modern era. You can make mistakes. Same thing with naval battles. I used to play this game called Harpoon. I don't know if you're familiar with it or whatever, but I used to play this naval game called Harpoon, and Tomahawk missiles and harpoons would travel for miles, hundreds of miles. And so why do you have to have a miniature on the table? You know, and how big does your table have to be for your missiles to travel that far? I found that you could play that game just on paper, because there's no real need to have figures on the table unless you're playing in a gymnasium. And again, this is with 2400 scale models. We're talking tiny little models, you know? And but when you started talking about World War II naval, now you're talking about you have to be able to see your opponent, or he has to be right on the horizon, or you have to have an observation plane that has to see him. Yes, you're shooting for miles, but not hundreds of miles. So you could play on like a 5x9 table, and you could actually have destroyers and torpedoes and stuff like that. No aircraft carriers, because that tends to change the whole idea of the game. So World War II Navy, I'm okay with. Modern Navy, not okay with. World War II tanks, I'm okay with. Modern tanks, I'm not okay with. That's just me. And I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with me and watching this live stream as I put these 200 shoulder patches on. because without you guys, I'd lose my mind. This is... oh my gosh, this is tedious. Now, James, if you're watching this video, or if you watch it, you should be very understanding of the time that it takes to do these British Commandos. The first Green Beret, you know, they all have their green berets on, or their knit caps. It doesn't have to be perfect, because then you just go in and adjust where it is. There we go. Hey, we're trugging along. Okay, so that was a Ukrainian topic. Now, do I support Russia or Ukraine? Okay, this is part of this is a call to arms, basically. I just recently bought a bunch of Zvezda 15mm tanks. Right? Nice, cheap, Russian-made tanks. And I thought about this. I'm opposed to the Russian attack on the Ukraine. I believe sanctions, they probably won't work, but at least it's a good step towards the right direction. And I feel guilty about those Zvezda tanks that I bought. But then I'm trying to justify it, or what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I guess justify is the word I'm looking for. Okay, this guy, he's, okay, screw it. We're just going to slide it on, and then I'll just position it afterwards. Actually, that was fairly easy to do it that way. That's probably the way I should do it. Okay, so my justification is I did buy it before the invasion. Okay. Am I going to get rid of them? No. It's too late. I've already bought them. Am I going to buy any more? The answer is also no. Now you might say, or this is what I've been telling myself, I might say something like, Zvezda is not Putin. Right? I get that. But what my thought process is, any money going into that company is in effect going into Putin's pocket, because through taxes or just money in the country, etc. So I'm just not going to funnel any money into that country. So what else does that mean? Well, there's a few computer games that I play that are based out of Russia. Two big ones that I've pretty much stopped playing anyway, just over the last 6 months or so. I pretty much don't play them very much anyway. It's World of Tanks, that whole World of, and War Thunder. Those are both Russian companies. And if you think that those Russian computer game companies don't track your information, you're crazy. Why? Well, mainly because you probably buy stuff from them, pay DLC or skins or all that stuff. So they got your information. So yeah, so I don't plan to support any Russian companies going forward. If they had, and there was a big, I was noticing there was a big vodka ad. It said that Stoli and what's the other big vodka one? Smirnoff. Neither one of those are Russian companies. There was a big ad like, hey, you can still buy us because we're not Russian. And this decaling is actually going faster than I anticipated. This is good. This is really good. I don't expect to get all 200 done in the 2 hours that we have. Now, I thought about not doing these and doing these. Okay, you're getting caught on my... That looks good. It always wants to roll off that. Okay. The if we were to get finished, or okay, my mind is going all over the place because I have like 100 things I want to talk about, but I don't know what order I want to talk about them in. But so I thought about not doing these and doing these off camera because this is kind of monotonous, and you're watching the same thing over and over and over. But then I said to myself, you know what? It's not about watching me do the modeling. It's about talking about stuff. That's what this show's about. It's about talking about stuff. Not necessarily showing you. That's what the tutorial videos are about. That's what my how-tos are about. When I get my 101st guys in, I do plan on doing a, this is how I paint D-Day paratroopers. 101st, 82nd actually. What I need is some 15 millimeter American flags for their shoulders, right? I don't think I can find that. So what I'm probably going to have to do is just paint like a white square and then maybe take a little bit of red and put some red lines. There's probably not going to be, 6 or 7 red lines. There's probably going to be 3 something crazy like that, I'll try to do it real thin, unless I can find a really fine tip red pen. If I can find that, then I'll just go and then put like a blue square in the upper, and then just dot it up with some dots. And I'll have to do like 100 of those flags. But I'm gonna make it easy. I'm not gonna make those hard. Just like these Commando decals, you're not gonna see any detail on a 15mm US flag. It'll be less than a millimeter in size. Okay, so alternatively, if I wasn't going to do these decals on screen today, I was going to work on my buildings that I got. If you're following my terrain building videos, my World War II progress updates, you know that I'm working on some tiles, and those tiles are very close to being complete. I already finished all the bocage, and I also finished like 90% of the hedges. I've got fencing and walls, and I have buildings constructed. They're not all painted. And I started working on the roads, the bank of the roads. They have like on the paved roads, they have these cutouts on the sides of the pavement. I've already filled that with flock. I might go in and hit some clump foliage in certain areas. I don't know, but that's already complete. So really, I was going to work on the buildings. Now, these dark ops buildings, I really like them. There's nothing special about them. They don't really... The Sarissa buildings and those buildings are very similar. But the dark ops ones just have just because I think it's because the roof sits on top and not inside. I think it's part of the appeal, and they are the interior floor is wood. It has the wood grain cut out in it. So what I was planning on doing was taking some painter's tape, some blue painter's tape, and cutting it out to size and sticking it down inside the building on the wood flooring, and then priming it, right? And then so no paint would get on the wood flooring. And then once I primed it gray, then I was thinking taping up the inside of the windows with the painter's tape, and then when I spray the outside white or whatever other color I might use, that won't go to the inside because the windows would all be covered. And then once all the priming is done, then I'd peel that tape and you would see a wood grain, wood colored floor. And I was thinking about using like a dark brown wash on the floor, giving it like a dark oak. Yeah, that's not the one. This one, dark brown. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, Vallejo, dark brown wash. I like my Vallejo washes. These are awesome. I don't know if you can see these backpacks, but these backpacks were originally a very light color. I think it was this one. Hold on. Yeah, they were originally this color. And I put the Vallejo dark green wash on the backpack, and it really did bring out a lot of the detail, knowing that I'm still going to do a full complete dark wash from Army Painter. I'm still going to put a complete wash over the entire thing. I just like the way that turned out. Yeah, it's like a really dark green now. Okay. Okay, but that, speaking of those buildings, that's not, that would have been part of it. But, and I'm still might do this, but like on one of my update videos, I might terrain building update video. What I plan to do with those buildings, and I thought about this long and hard actually. That's what she said. No, seriously. I was going to take my terrain boards, and you know the areas that I had put the light brown texture paste in for the urban areas. I was going to lay the buildings out, trace them, maybe put some painter's tape over the ground, so that when I go, I'm gonna like put flock in the city, sector or whatever, and then I was gonna like leave areas exposed where they would be walkways or sidewalks or paths up to the buildings, maybe parking areas for cars or buggies or whatever, gardens. I was going to flock a lot of the city, but just not where the buildings were, and also not where the walkways were and stuff. So it would look like when I put the buildings down, there would be like a little pathway that walks up to the door or something like that, right? But then I thought, as an alternative to that, and I'm still kind of debating this, instead of just taping or tracing, to actually cut. Oh wait, what's going on here? Got some surface tension. Okay, there we go, we got it on there. To cut into the terrain board the size of the building's base about 2 millimeters deep, so that the building's base will sit down inside a little slot. So the building won't move around. It'll also disguise the base of the building, because I can flock the base and I can flock the terrain board so that when it slides in, it'll match up. And the problem that I have there, I do want to do that, but the problem I have with that is, how do you cut it, right? I mean, if I had like a gouging tool, which I do, I just don't remember where it is. I could slowly gouge out the foam, right? I'm only going 2 millimeters deep. Now, I could go deeper than 2 millimeters and then put some material like a resin or a self-leveling resin or something like that inside there, so that even if it's a little jagged underneath, when I put the resin inside there and level it out, then the building would just sit directly on top of that resin. And that's the way I was thinking I was going to go. But not using resin. I can use any other material. I can use just Elmer's. I could use Liquitex liquid. I could use, you know, anything. Any. I got a bunch of. I could put Mod Podge in there. Anything that would just make the foam level. I could use Alex. I could use that caulking paste, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't think that's self-leveling, though. It would have to be really watered down for it to level out. But yeah, you can put any kind of plaster in there or whatever just to make sure it's level. And then I could put a number in there, in that hole. I could put like church, or no, I'm not going to do the church. I could put like cafe, and then on the back, and then I'd take my cafe building and just boop, so it would be easy to set up. And there would be no thinking, you know, no like, oops, I accidentally moved the building a little bit, so now I can see over there. No, there would be none of that. Okay, so I've got about half of them done so far. And it's been 1 hour. Not done. That's 1/4, because that's only one shoulder. I've only done the right shoulder. And that's what I'm working on right now, is still right shoulders. Okay, but I was thinking I would do the painting of the buildings, spray painting, priming, washing the base. And then I was also thinking I would cut out the spots. I think I am going to do that. I'll probably do that tonight. Next thing. I might have to, I guzzled a lot of this. I might have to go use the bathroom here in a minute. All right, we got a chat. What do we got? John Wayne. Hey, man, what's up? John Wayne, you're all in caps. Are you yelling at me? No, it's all good. I don't worry about that. You can if you could do double caps, do that. At least you didn't put any exclamation marks at the end. Okay. Yeah, the next thing on my terrain board is going to be the buildings and how they fit and where they need to fit. Finish up the little town sector, grass and little flower pots and all that stuff. I even thought about getting a little bit of like pallets and garbage cans and stuff like that. And I said, nah, we don't need to go that crazy. You got to leave room for your miniatures to move around. And I also got my red and green casualty caps in. I got those in, so I'll show those off during my next update. Yep. Okay. Now the reason why I say I've got 90% of my hedges done, I got all the bocage finished and 90% of the hedges. Now the reason why I say that is because there are some field boards that I'm going to lay out on the table. I think I'm going to make a few more of those. The field boards that I have now, I think I'm going to leave them hedgeless. And they can just be placed on the table between existing hedges. Or just anywhere. They won't affect anything. They'll just be completely for looks. But as you probably already know, I have these field strips coming in. Two of them are, I've noticed, I didn't realize this when I ordered them. Two of them are 4mm crops, and one of them is 6mm, which 6mm is about half the height of a guy. You know, 15mm. Some of the old Command Decision models I have are like 12mm, so that would be exactly half their height. 4mm would be about waist high, maybe a little bit lower, mid thigh. That seems reasonable. That seems okay for a crop, I think. It's not fully grown, you know. If I was doing wheat, which I probably should, but if I was doing wheat, it would be taller than the man, right? If it was ready to be harvested. I do have some floor mats. I made a video a long time ago about what scale a floor mat was and like what kind of fields it would make, and I said it would work for anything from 6mm to 28mm, because 6mm just means it's fully grown and 28mm just means that it's not fully grown. But for 15 millimeter, it seems to be perfect. I mean, it's the perfect height. So I've considered using floor mats, but I'm probably not. I'm gonna leave them separate like I have in the past, and I just lay them out where I need them. But I got these 3 packages of crops coming in, and I've decided I don't want to put them on the boards that I've already made, because those boards, I put some static grass on them already, and this was a mistake on my part. I don't want to put the crop on top of that static grass. So I'm going to make some more boards. Should take me about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to cover the entire board in dirt. I even am thinking about taking some flex paste before I put the dirt on and just putting some beads down the line, and then once that dries, then covering the entire thing with dirt, and that'll give a little bit of a you know, the ridge, right? And then when I get the crops in, I was going to just lay the crops on those ridges. And then once the crops are dried, whoa, come on, Mr. Everything, what are you doing? And once the crops are dried, then going in and flocking around the crop. And even then, only doing like half, leaving a lot of the dirt exposed. You know, majority of the dirt exposed, probably doing less than half. I think it'll look better with the dirt between the crops. And then finally, putting the final touches to my crops, putting hedges around the outside of them. Now, I've considered not putting hedges around the outside of them and making loose hedges, just like the ones that I've already made, to go beside them. And the reason for that is versatility. I want to be able to use these crops between bocage as well, maybe in other games. And if I put a permanent hedge around this crop, then I wouldn't be able to use them anywhere else. And I'm all about making my terrain versatile. I want to be able to use it in other places, like Quatre Bras. Like if I want to do a Quatre Bras and I wanted to have a field out there, I wouldn't be able to because it would already have a hedge around it or something. Okay, this one's a little tricky. I don't know what's going on. This should be the easiest one. There's a lot of wrinkles right in that area right here, and that's what's causing some issues. Ah. Come on, Decal. Get moving. There we go. All right. I must have pressed too hard too soon. Gotta soak the water up first. Oh man, what's going on with this decal? This one is the worst one out of all of them so far. Okay. Boy, that guy sucked. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna make my fields hedgeless and not on the static grass. I am still gonna have some static grass fields, and I'm gonna lay them out on the table where they will fit, wherever they will fit. And I was kind of testing this theory the other night, and my wife must be going somewhere. The ones I've already made will lay out between hedges and stuff like that on the table, and it will disguise the gaps between the boards. Boy, that cut just went a little close to that decal. That's all right though. I didn't cut it though. Okay, getting the next set ready while that's soaking in the water. Doing 6 at a time because I think that works out really well. They don't dry up. All right. Yeah, so the boards, even though I painted them green, there's still a dark shadow when you place them side by side. It almost looks black, and so you can definitely see the gap between the boards. So it, whoa, come on, Decal. Came off with my paper towel. Okay, Decal. Let's see how you're going to be. Let's rescue it. Yay, it's rescued. Okay. I thought it was perfect until the last press, and then Decal goes sliding off under the backpack. All right, that's good. So a few strategically placed fields will cover those boards. Okay. Now I was hoping to have my American War of Independence scenario complete by August as well. And that way I could have a game of Lafayette Bridge, and then I could have a game of Freeman's Farm. But it doesn't look like I'm going to have that finished in time. I've got all the figures I need to do Freeman's Farm. I have them. Old Glory came in a couple of weeks back. It's just I'm putting a lot of effort and a lot of time into my battle group. But I think I'll have the terrain board finished within the next month. End of March, it'll be done. It'll be finished. It'll be ready to go. And I should be getting in my I keep saying 101st, but my 82nd infantry Okay, now I'm confused. There it is. Okay, that decal is upside down. There we go. And oriented correctly. In the right position. Okay, there we go. Boop. Done. Boop, 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 boop. Good. Okay. So if Battlefront doesn't get me my 101st / 82nd D-Day paratroopers, if I don't get them in by the end of March, I'm just going to cancel that order 100%, just give up on Battlefront and go with Old Glory if I have to, or Plastic Soldier Company if available. I might order it through another, instead of ordering direct, I might have to order through a third party like Noble Knight or something like that. They seem to be a pretty good company. I like Noble Knight. And if I'm able to, and then that way, no. Oh. Yeah, I'm wearing these monsters. You know, I don't know if you can look at the magnifying on that sucker. Yeah, that's what I use when I do my modeling. I think these are 4.0s, I think. Okay, guys, give me like 2 seconds. I'm going to go tinkle, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So the point I was trying to make about my American War of Independence is I have all the figures I need, and luckily the battle is not super large. It's three. Oh, I just put this thing on upside down. Okay. It's like three. Okay. It's like 3 brigades per side. Maybe about 3 or 4 units per brigade, regiment / battalions, or however they do it in that game. But I should be able to knock those out pretty quickly. Once I get started, I could probably do the entire force in like 1 month. you know, the British and the Allies. I say Allies, Continentals. But the problem is, when would I have an opportunity to do it? I think I could do it. I still think I can do it. The Americans, for my Lafier Bridge, if they do in fact come in April, because like I said, if I don't get it by the end of March, I'm going to cancel it and reorder it from somewhere else, and then I'll get it in April, and then I will paint them up and get them ready. And so by the end of April, I should have Lafier Bridge figures and terrain, and everything should be finished. That's what I'm thinking. By the end of April, May, by May, right? Okay. And then I can use the month of May to do my American War of Independence troops, because it's like 24 battalions. Is that right? What? Why? Why not look it up? Hang on. Ah, there we go. It's like, where do I have this? Ah, here it is. There we go. So with these units right here, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so honestly, to be honest with myself, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, okay, so about a month and a half, 6 weeks, I could have all of this painted. Okay. So I'm trying to do this time in my head so that you guys can, so I can help myself understand. Okay. So April, May and June would be the 101st. I keep jumping to the 101st. What the hell? Would be the American War of Independence painting and battlefield readiness, because that would be, I'd have to probably build another map for Freeman's Farm, but luckily I've already thought this ahead. The Freeman's Farm map is basically just going to be a 4x6 flat board, so that should take me like no time at all. I'll already have a bunch of fences and hedges because I did it for my Lafier Bridge. I'm already going to have a bunch of fields because I did that for Lafier Bridge. So that should take me like no time at all to make that. So May and June, so by July I should be completely ready to go. Should be finished. That's what I'm hoping. I have all the flags I need for both forces. I've got the bases. I've got, they're going to be 40 millimeters wide, 30 millimeters deep, 6 figures per base. That's what I'm planning on doing, because I'm playing Land of the Free, and I'm just going to use their recommended basing, because when a game gives me a recommended basing size, I tend to stick with it, because I feel like the game designer play tested it and knows how his game works. And so who am I to say that he's wrong? No, I actually looked at it and it looks really good. I like the way those units are actually with the way they look. I like it. So yeah, so by July I should have both games completely finished. So the month of July could be playtesting the scenarios on camera. I know I'm thinking way in advance. Probably too far in advance. No. I did order some other vehicles that are not needed in the Lafayette Bridge battle. Wait, what's going on here? I'm basically trying to get these out of the way so that I can finish my I guess I could put another row here. And you can see how it's... Okay, so I ordered some like 222s, some 231s, some 234s. I got some trucks, I got some half tracks, Panzer IVs, Stugs, Panthers, Jagd Panthers. I need to get a Whirlwind. I noticed I didn't order any Whirlwinds. Now, I went through all my scenario books, and I'll show you here those books here in just a second. But I went through all of them. Okay, those decals are not ready. Give them a few more seconds. So, take this opportunity to show you this weight. I've got like a weight here. Boom! This is super heavy. Let's get him out of the way. Heavy. This is heaviness, right? Okay, so I've got the Locked on Marine, which is Battle Bulge, right? I've got Operation Market Garden. Oop, you can't see that. Okay. Operation Market Garden, which is awesome. The rule book, which I don't really, that doesn't really count. Okay. I got the D-Day book, which is my thickest book, actually. But I got the D-Day book, which is where the Lafayette Bridge scenario comes out of. And then I picked up, and this is kind of disappointing. I picked up Warlord specifically because of one paragraph. It talks about bocage. and how it'll affect the game. Right? I don't even remember where that line is. Army lists, Piats, Typhoons, Spitfires, Priests, Churchills, Cromwells, reinforcements. There's some scenarios in here. And then the bocage feature. Trying to get you right there. The bocage feature. And then it goes down to this. So it's only this one page. And this basically, 99% of this is just, this is what bocage was. And then over here it says bocage on the tabletop, like how to make it, well, what it should look like on the tabletop. And then in this little gray box right down here, it says rules for bocage. That's why I got this entire book, just for that one page. But it does have a lot of cool stuff in it as well, and I might be able to use a lot of the other like scenarios and battles and stuff like that going on in the future. But I also have this. Okay, it might be easier to show you over here. I got this skirmish campaigns, which also has the Lafir Bridge campaign in it, and it talks a lot. It's got like a house and a barn back here, which the battle group does not. It also has a house on the far side, and it has light woods up here and not bocage in that front slope area. But I don't have this house and this barn on my table. I do have these three buildings and the church. I don't have this house way over here either. They have the advance to Lafir, and then it has the Lafir counterattack, and then it has what's called the tank attack, right? So if I wanted to play all of these battles, right, separately, like different battles, there are different troops that you need in each one. Specifically in tank attack, you need a 57mm anti-tank gun, right? And everything else is pretty much infantry types, which I'm already going to have. So basically, looking at this scenario, I knew I was going to need to get a 57mm anti-tank gun. Okay, which I ordered. But I went through each of these scenarios one at a time, and I looked at the different troops that were needed in each of the scenarios. I overlapped with what I already had or already ordered. So if one scenario needed a platoon of grenadiers and another scenario needed 2 platoons of grenadiers, then I would only need to order 2 platoons of grenadiers to cover everything. If that makes sense. So, okay, that's got a little water drop. If one scenario needed 3 tanks, but then the next scenario only needed 2 tanks, well, I wouldn't need to order any additional tanks because I already have them because I ordered the 3 for the previous. So basically, I just went through and just ordered all the unique vehicles and units that I needed to be able to do every scenario. Maybe not every scenario, but almost all the scenarios. And really, it's not that much. Because once you have and if you notice, those books Walked on Rhine, Market Garden, D-Day. A lot of those scenarios, if not all of them, well, a lot of them, are U.S. or British paratroopers. Another scenario I think I'd like to do is Pegasus Bridge, and I didn't see a written scenario for Pegasus Bridge. I would have to write my own or use a scenario from another source, which I have like a scenario I already wrote for a game called Operation World War II. I already wrote a scenario, Pegasus Bridge, for that. I could probably do another one. I don't know, it's just, I have this love for airborne operations. Okay, I'm struggling seeing that with the reflection of the decal, and okay, there we go. Yep, that'll work. So if I've got a airborne company, I pretty much have all the troops I'm going to need for all the scenarios that I plan to play. The only weird thing I noticed was the Germans. Some of the scenarios have Fallschirmjägers. Some of the scenarios have Ost troops, penal or conscripts, whatever you want to call them. Some of them have Grenadiers. Some have SS. Some have Panzer Grenadiers, which is not the same as a Grenadier. Yeah, that looks good. Boop-be-doop-a-doop. Done. Okay. They have a Whirlwind in one scenario. They have a Puma in another scenario. They have a 75mm anti-tank gun in a scenario. They have Panthers. They have Panzer IVs. They have Stugs. They basically, the German side has all this variety, which I love. I love variety. Who doesn't like variety? But it just means that it seems like I need one bespoke playing piece for every single battle. For the the Americans, good. British, good. Germans, they're all over the place. So, but that's fun. That's part of the hobby, right? Building all these unique things. What do we got here? Reg, just got in. Sorry I missed the earlier part. Hey, no worries, man. No worries. You know that this goes up on YouTube later, and you can watch it earlier. You can watch the earlier part later. Basically, what I'm doing, what you missed was nothing, because all I'm doing is putting decals on these British Commandos for James. It's part of his commission. I think I finished this, didn't I? And there's a drop or two. All right, so I got another thing. I picked this up a couple of days ago, and I fell in love with it. It's like, it's the right size. It's 16 ounces. It's V8. berry blend. So it's a lot like fruit punch, but not fruit, but berries. And it's V8. It's got vitamin C, it's got B6, B12. 5% juice. I love the first ingredient, water. But yeah, I fell in love with these. I can easily guzzle this if I don't control myself. All right. So, basically what I've been doing is just trying to keep everybody informed about my World War II project progress while I work on these decals. Whoop, okay, the decals are ready. Two of them tried to jump off the page. You can probably hear traffic outside. Motorcycle. I got my door open because it's like 70 degrees outside. Can you believe that? 70 freaking degrees. Now, we have mild winters here in Tennessee. But 70 in March? Come on. What's up? Talking about the timeline of having my boards finished and having and all my troubles and tribulations of getting my figures in from Battlefront because they are struggling to get their own miniatures in. So I guess there's some shipping issues from their manufacturer, and I am boycotting Russian manufacturers at this time. Of all things, if I see that it's made in Russia, I will not buy it. If I already bought something, then of course I'm going to keep it and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it and abuse it. But I'm not going to throw any new money into Russia at this time. There are 2 computer games which I haven't played in a few months anyway, so it's not like that's a big shock. World of Tanks and War Thunder are both Russian companies. I'm not putting any more money into them. And I know people are I'm not going to say people. I say to myself, they're not the ones that are going to war in the Ukraine, right? It's not the War Thunder guys. They're not financing the war effort. So why should I penalize them? But indirectly, if you understand economy, they are financing. Not directly, but they are indirectly financing because they pay taxes on sales. Right? Their company gives the Russian government money. So why would I give them money so they can turn around and pay their taxes? If that makes sense. Now, I just ordered a bunch of Zvezda tanks. I mean, a lot. I probably have 20 tanks up there from Zvezda, 15 millimeter. And you think to yourself, 20 tanks, that's only $100. You know, I'm pleased. That's a good company. They do good work. Their models are okay. They're not Tamaya, but they're pretty good. It's just that they're in Russia. It has nothing to do with anything else. Yummy. Antioxidant C and B. That's good. I need all the antioxidants I can get. Not a significant source of cholesterol. That's good. Even though there is good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, I didn't even care. Okay. Yeah, I showed the American War of Independence stuff that I plan to do, but I don't plan to really get that started until maybe April. So by July, I should have all my American War of Independence stuff finished. I should have all my 15 millimeter World War II stuff finished for the Lafier Bridge, but I'm gonna have a collection of World War II miniatures so that I can gradually do other scenarios, putting them together. I personally like to do Battle of the Bulge and Market Garden and D-Day airborne attacks. Not necessarily the jump, but just the taking a bridge or holding a field or defending a town or taking a town and stuff like that. All right, so let's turn a little bit. There is a campaign that I've ran in the past. It was called Bastogne. It's a command decision campaign. It was very fun. The way I ran it was very fun. Basically, you get a number of players and you give each player let's rephrase this. You get a number of players, 3 German players and 1 or more American players. So really you only need 4 players minimum, but it's better if you've got 5 or 6 players. But 3 of them are Germans, and then the rest are Americans. The German players, each one gets command of a German division. 2nd Panzer, Panzer Lehr, and the 26th Volksgrenadier Division. They each get a map and a TO&E breakdown of their division, right? So they know where all their regiments, what they have, and what all of their battalions have, down to the platoon level, because command decision each base of figures was a platoon. A tank was a platoon. An infantry stand is a platoon. So everything's a platoon. So like a company of engineers would have like 3 stands. And that would be your company of engineers. It might have 4 stands because it might have a command stand. I'm trying to remember command decision. It has a command stand. Okay. There's another game out there called Spearhead, which uses the same scale, like platoons, or each stand is a platoon. So I ran, when I was stationed in Berlin in the 90s, I ran this campaign with some of my buddies, and we played the entire campaign, which is a 10-day campaign, with command decision. And then when I got back to the States, I played this campaign again because it was so fun, but I wanted a more streamlined game because command decision was a little, it's a little bit, I don't know, number heavy, or I'm not really sure what the word is I'm looking for, but it's less, it's not as fast. It's not as fast paced. So we played it again with Spearhead. And it went over very well. I'd love to do it again. But I've got an entirely different campaign that I want to run using World War II. It was designed to be played using 28. This campaign that I bought was designed to be played with 28mm miniatures. On 4x8 tables. You know, basically playing a skirmish game using a game called, I'm trying to remember what it was called, Easy 8? No, Easy 8 was the company. What was the game called? Oh man, Battle. I don't remember. But it was basically another one of those skirmish games I didn't really enjoy. The rules were a little less than understandable. I didn't like it, basically. But when Bolt Action came out, it kind of reinvigorated my skirmish love. You know, my love for man-to-man World War II. And so I thought about running that campaign using Bolt Action. But then I got to the realization that to play that campaign, I would need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of figures because of the nature of the campaign. Because the nature of that campaign is that players, well, it was designed to be played by a club, and then each player bringing their own figures to the table. But that doesn't happen around here. Everybody's playing Warhammer. Nobody's playing World War II, except for me and a couple of my friends. And we wouldn't have enough for a campaign. So I put it on the back burner, put it on the shelf. The campaign, if you can remember this, was written by Easy 8, called Race to the Muse, or something like that. It was basically a Piper campaign. It was a campaign about Joachim Piper, where he presses in the Battle of the Bulge and tries to make it to the Muse. And it gives you like a flow chart. So the map is done a little bit differently, which I'm okay with. It makes managing the campaign a lot easier. But there's like 30 maps. They're all written out as 28 millimeter 4x8 maps. And where the buildings are, where the hedges, basically everything you need to know to set up the map for each individual battle. And each map has a number, so the players can give the referee, like, okay, I've got these troops on this map. This is where it's located. This is where they're at, and all that stuff. And then when you move, on a game turn, you move from like one map to the next. And if there is any opposition on that map, then you put the forces out on the tabletop and you fight it out. If there's no opposition, you just move on to the next map. Or however the campaign rules work. I don't remember because it's been a while. But basically it makes it very easy to manage troop placement and map construction and all that stuff. Right? Okay. But with the cost, specifically the Germans, like this is another thing. The Germans and the Americans too, in that game, you're given a number of points to be used to buy your force that you want to play the campaign with. And they give you something crazy like 10,000 points. That's a lot of freaking troops. That's tanks and every other support element and all that stuff, right? Okay, I'm going to need another one of these because these 6 are not going to cover the rest. But that's okay. We got more. So the I'm just going to use Germans as an example because they're the ones on the attack. They can take their 10,000 points. I don't remember. They might have more than that. I think it is 10,000 points. They can take their 10,000 points. They buy their army on paper, right? This is what everything is. They can put them into battle groups or conf groups, and then they can, conf group A can go here, conf group B can go there, etc. So each conf group is not going to be 10,000 points. It could be 5,000 points because they might have 2 fronts. It could be 3,000 points because they might go in 3 different directions. And the Americans, I think, get something to start the game. They get something like 2,000 points, and they have to spread them out as a defensive position. So the Americans don't really have that many troops on the table. They're supposed to be overrun, right? It's the reinforcements that are supposed to really be what helps the Americans. So for the Americans, it would not be fun in the first few battles because they know they're going to lose. It's like a foregone conclusion. They're going to lose these battles. But what they're supposed to do, and this is possibly part of the mentality of the American players, they're supposed to inflict enough casualties in those early days so that when their reinforcements do show up, they have an easier way to do it. They have an easier job, right? So they might have fun, sacrificing a few platoons here and there to knock out certain tanks, or to, make the Germans pay for every inch of the battle that they take, that kind of stuff. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But as a campaign organizer, I have to make sure that all these battle groups would be covered figure-wise. And I thought about it. I said, okay, this would be super fun. This is going to be a thing to do. Let's do it. And then the reality hit me that to be able to do it would cost me a fortune. My friends don't have Germans. They might have Russians. Or one guy might have British. Which, yes, that's the way it works. One guy did have Russians. One guy did have British. So they weren't going to help me. I'm the only one with the American paratroopers. Which, actually, there's only some paratroopers. Most of it is just American infantry and armor units. And most of these guys didn't have that. And then if I needed to do Comp Group Piper, I knew I wasn't going to need to do 10,000 points. But the game says, and the reality is, if the Germans have 2 comp groups and they move them both into the same zone, one is there first and then the other one comes in at a later turn. But guess what that means? I need to have 10,000 points worth of Germans. And I need to have the 10,000 points that the Germans spent points on. So I said that's not gonna work, because I'd have to get the Germans to coordinate with me ahead of time, spend their points, then I would go out and buy those models that I needed, paint them, get them ready for the campaign, and by the time I did that, the interest in the campaign will have already disappeared. Maybe. I'm just thinking out loud. So I said to myself, I need to get all this stuff ahead of time, but I would need to also kind of pick and choose everything, because you got to be ready to go with everybody. That's not going to work, especially at the cost of 28mm models. When I'm paying $50 for one tank in 28mm, and I might need 10 of them, or I might not need 10 of them, I was like, no, this can't work. I'm not going to do this. And then I thought to myself, okay, alternatively, I can make their army lists for them, right? Yeah. Take over as arbitrator of their armies and say, this is what you have to work with deploy it how you see fit. Most players would be okay with that. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And I said, okay, let me spend some points. Let me see how much, what kind of armies, and let's try to make it as historically accurate as possible, pulling up Comp Group Piper's actual TONE, and that's still going to cost me thousands of dollars. I said, no, I can't do this. So I said, nope, not going to do it. Put it away. And then just recently, since I've gotten Battle Group, the Rules Battle Group, and I've started collecting 15 millimeters and noticing that I can get an entire company for about $40 or something like that. It makes it affordable, right? And I'm planning on getting these troops anyway for all these other scenarios. I'm planning on getting a bunch of tanks and a bunch of infantry. I've already ordered some Fallschirmjägers. I've already ordered some, I already have the Grenadiers and the 101st, and I also ordered some regular infantry because of the glider troops. I already have a bunch of tanks, and I could get some half tracks, and I could get some anti-tank guns and all that stuff, and I could build it up for a fraction of what it would have cost me in 28 millimeter. And those 4x8 battlefields, I can leave them as 4x8 battlefields because the 28 millimeter ground scale was swollen, and the 15 millimeter battle scale is actually closer to reality on a 4x8 table. And I could shrink it down to a 4x6. That won't be a problem. I could do that. And then we could still use the exact same maps. And I don't know what the point system. I'd have to kind of figure that out. And what I would probably still have to build the army lists on both sides myself, and then give the players in the campaign a list of what they have under their command. And I don't think any player would really have a problem with that. And then it would be blind, right? Because as a referee, each player would give me their turn via email or what have you. In the old days, we would write it on paper and hand it over. But nowadays, you could email it to me. I could come, and you could even put like a little document, maybe a Google Doc or something like that. We could make a Google Doc for each player or each side so that they can see what their allies are doing or something. And then I could even put a map on a Google Doc, and then I could, or actually we could use Roll20. You know, I could do like a Roll20, put a World War II map out there, just photocopy it and upload it to Roll20, and then I could make tokens for all the different units, battle groups or platoons or companies or whatever. And basically we can track everything in Roll20. I can move the units around on the map. in Roll20. And then when players are on the same map, then we could pull out the miniatures on a table and play it out. So that's what I was kind of thinking. I was thinking Roll20 would be a way to issue orders. I could move the troops around on the maps. The players would see their troops moving. And we'd have like weekly, maybe a weekly get together on Roll20 to discuss what happened for that turn, and then schedule time where the players can get together and play the battles on the table. Because, you know, not everybody can be every Saturday or whatever. We could have one week we could play on a Saturday, the next week we could play on a Sunday or something like that. Now I also thought about opening this game up to people that are not local, right? That way I could get some of my friends from overseas to play, and all they have to do is know what units they have to command. They could have a map, and they could issue their orders for their troops. Their troops would move into a battle, and they won't have to be present to play that battle. We could have a local player play their troops for them. So they would be the overall commander of their troops, but they would, like a division commander, but they would not conduct the battles. Because that's true. That would, okay, now I finished all the right-hand patches, and it only took me 2 hours. Actually, 2.5 hours. All right, so now I'm going to take the next 2.5 hours and do their left arm patches. Yay! Okay, but that's the end of the live stream. I'm getting ready to close out the stream. Tonight, I'm going to... oh, if you're interested in a campaign like that, if you're watching this stream later, maybe a month from now or whatever, if you're interested in something like that happening in the future, let me know, because if I collect enough names of people that are interested in something like that, then that's something I might push for. And even then, failing a local player, we could even do a live stream game. Might take 6 to 8 hours or whatever, but I can set up cameras to look at the table like I did in the past, and you could chat with us like where you want your troops to move or something. We can even do a solo, like I can move your troops for you or something. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. So I'll consider maybe working on something like that for the future. If not, then don't worry about it. I'm not pushing for that like right away anyway, because I'm still working on my Napoleonic war game that I'm writing, and I'm working on all my commissions. This is just one of them, but I've got another commission that's coming in. I think it's Mamelukes or something. I'm getting those in. This customer has some Rangers he needs done as well. And I've got all my other projects, like my Ancients and my Napoleonics and my 100 Years War and my American War of Independence. I pretty much have all those figures 100% already ordered, maybe except for the Napoleonics, but everything else I've already got ordered 100%. I foresee I've got enough 15mm miniatures for me to take a couple of years and paint, so I'm in no rush to do a campaign like that. But I'm excited to do it because I've had that campaign for years. It's been in my pocket. I've never ran it. It's the oh wow, there are little numbers in there. Okay, just FYI, I ordered this mat a little while ago. It's a much larger mat. It's pretty big, and it 60mm across, 60, not 60mm, 60 centimeters, and it was something like 50 centimeters this way. I had to cut a bunch of centimeters off. It's actually now only 40 plus the lip here, but I cut it at the line 40 and it fits in. And then I took my old one and turned it sideways and cut its end off to fill out this last 10 maybe 8 centimeters right there. So this whole table now is black, and this is double-sided, right? This is green on the other side, not that I care, but it also has inches on the other side. So it's green inches, black centimeters, and that was one thing I did. Basically, it gave me a larger working area because I used to have like this little bitty working area, and it just wasn't big enough, especially for this many figures. And then I got this, and I don't know if you can see that. You can. Okay, good. I got this from Black Ops at the same time that I got those buildings. The problem with this is you construct it. It's MDF, right? But it sits on these little feet right here and doesn't move. And so if I had paint on the back side, I wouldn't be able to get to it in any way unless I could walk around this entire thing. Or I'd have to pick it up and turn it, and it was just cumbersome. So I got a Lazy Susan, which I don't know if you can see, which now allows me to get to all my paint easily. Right? So that saved a lot of space because I used to have these. I used to have this rack. I've got like 4 of these racks, and they went all the way across and across the backside of this table, and it just took too much space. And for me to get to the paints that were in the corner was just too hard because I had all of this kind of stuff. Well, you can't really see it, but I had bottles like this in front of the racks, so that took up space. Basically, by getting this, which holds, I think, 144 paints, whatever 12 times 12 is, which I think is 144, yeah, that holds 144 paints. There's still a few extra openings, but I left this over here because this will be my, what do you call it, quick access paints. I still also have my P3 paints and my Model Master paints on the old Vallejo rack. That was the first rack I got. I realized it wasn't big enough. So then I got a set of this, which came with 2 of those, and I realized that wasn't big enough. So I got a second set of those. So I had 4 of these, and it was big enough, but it just consumed so much space. And then when I went to the Black Ops website to order those buildings, I noticed they had this on clearance, and you can get 2-tier or 3-tier. I figured, why get a 2-tier? Might as well get a 3-tier. So I got a 3-tier, and there you go. That's awesome. And that saves me a bunch of space, a ton of space. All right, so that's the end of the stream, and I will see you probably. I'll probably do a recording tonight of working on my tables. I'm planning on cutting out some holes for my buildings. All right, I'll see you next time. You guys stay safe out there.